High Definition News for Wednesday, October 14th, 2015. I'm Jeff Kaufman. It's the morning after the Democratic presidential candidates debate, and we'll hit the highlights in a moment. But first, we have a couple of stories that are breaking this morning. First, former Lakers star Lamar Odom is hospitalized in Las Vegas. And although there is little to no official information on his condition, TMZ is reporting that Odom is in a coma, that his heart is failing, and that he is breathing only because he's on a respirator. He was found unconscious and face down alone in a room at the Love Ranch, a legal brothel about 70 miles south of the Strip. The brothel's owner, Dennis Hoff, told KNX Radio last night that Odom arrived there alone on Saturday.
Lamar was at the ranch trying to get away from everybody, just have a good time, not drinking very much, and I put him in my home, attached to the Love Ranch, Las Vegas. The girls found him this afternoon, passed out. 911 said to roll him over on his left side. Awful looking stuff came out of him, and the paramedics got him out of there and got him to the hospital.
That hospital is in Pahrump, a small town south of Las Vegas. Doctors first wanted to airlift Odom to a bigger, better equipped hospital in Vegas, but since he's 6'2", Odom was too big for the medevac chopper, so he was put in an ambulance. Hoff told Channel 4 last night that while this may look like a drug overdose, neither he nor his employees saw anything in Odom's room to confirm that.
The only thing we know for sure is he was taking an excessive amount of herbal Viagra. Now, not to say that he wasn't doing any drugs, but nobody saw anything like that, and they saw no effects. He was sleeping every night. So the assumption is that he wasn't doing anything.
Now, we want to stress that this story is still developing. The only official statement we have about any of this comes from a Facebook post by the Nye County Sheriff's Department that confirms Odom is in the hospital. Most of what we and everyone else is reporting comes from two sources. TMZ, which has a fairly good record on stories like this, but which does not disclose where it's getting its information, and the E! Channel, which is not a news organization in the traditional sense, but does have a very close relationship with the family of Odom's ex-wife, Khloe Kardashian, and is likely doing some back-channel communicating with the Kardashians. TMZ also reports that Khloe is at the hospital, so is her mom, Kris Jenner. They reportedly flew to Vegas yesterday afternoon. The Lakers were in Las Vegas to play the Kings, and after the game, several of the players are reported to have stopped by the hospital. One report says Kobe Bryant is still there. Some background on Lamar Odom. He retired from the NBA last year after a career in which he played with the Lakers, including on the championship teams in 2009 and 2010. He also played for the Clippers, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Miami Heat. He and Khloe Kardashian were married in 2009, and Odom appeared on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. In 2013, Odom checked into rehab after he was arrested for DUI. Khloe Kardashian cited Odom's substance abuse as one of the reasons for their divorce, which was finalized in July. Both she and Odom were on good terms even after they split up. Odom ranted to a TMZ crew in August that TMZ and other celebutainment media had crossed the line too often in their coverage of his life.
I don't believe in what y'all do. You feel what I'm saying? I don't believe in following people around. I don't Twitter. I don't Instagram. It just came with it. Feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Me and that girl fell in love.
I feel you, bro.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
That's our business.
I do.
You feel me? If we want to give you it, if we want to let you in our house, we can let you in.
Right.
And we can kick you out at the same time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Do
not disrespect my space. Do not disrespect my character, because that's what y'all been doing.
I feel you.
And from day one, even if half the things were true, even if half of them were true, people know who I am. And y'all have discredited me, beat me down, took my confidence, took everything away from me. You will not do it again.
Once again, former Lakers star Lamar Odom is hospitalized in Las Vegas after being found unconscious at a legal brothel outside the city. TMZ reports he's in a coma, on a ventilator, and his heart and other organs are failing. Lamar Odom is 35. The other breaking story this morning comes from West Hollywood, where a man was shot to death early today at the Comedy Store. This guy told Channel 4 he saw it happen just before 1 a.m.
I was on a balcony smoking a cigarette, and I heard like several gunshots, and then we got out to the front just as cops were showing up, and there was a person laying down.
The victim had been standing on a patio outside the Comedy Store, which was open. The gunman ran down the sidewalk after firing. LA County Sheriff's Lieutenant Steve Joush told Channel 4 detectives are starting with almost no information.
We're going to be very interested in finding out what prompted this. We don't know if it was a random act. We don't know if our victim was the intended target. We just don't know that yet, but that's something that we're going to try and focus in on as the morning progresses.
The LA Times reports it's the first homicide in West Hollywood in the past 12 months. And now the throwdown in Sin City. There were 5 Democratic presidential candidates on stage at the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas last night, but no offense to former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley, former Rhode Island Governor Lincoln Chafee, and former Virginia Senator Jim Webb.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No, what viewers tuned to CNN for was the Hillary Clinton-Bernie Sanders throwdown. And while the two did disagree on some issues, there was nothing even approaching the conflict of the Republican candidates at their debates. And the most memorable moment of the evening came when Anderson Cooper asked Hillary Clinton about the controversy over her private email server while she was Secretary of State. And Sanders brought the House down.
What I did was allowed by the State Department, but it wasn't the best choice. And I have been as transparent as I know to be, turning over 55,000 pages of my emails, asking that they be made public.
I think the Secretary is right. And that is that the American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too.
It was not all unity, though. Clinton accused Sanders of going too easy on gun manufacturers and voting against the assault weapons ban.
Everybody else has to be accountable, but not the gun manufacturers. And we need to stand up and say enough of that. We're not going to let it continue.
We can raise our voices, but I come from a rural state, and the views on gun control in rural states are different than in urban states, whether we like it or not.
Sanders got a lot of applause when he responded to Cooper's question about whether Americans would ever elect him, since he's a socialist. Sanders says he's not against capitalism, just the excesses, he says, have distorted it in the U.S.
I think we should look to countries like Denmark, like Sweden, and Norway, and learn from what they have accomplished for their working people.
We are not Denmark. I love Denmark. We're the United States of America. We would be making a grave mistake to turn our backs on what built the greatest middle class in the history of the world.
Former Maryland Governor O'Malley seemed to get the most airtime of the lower-tier candidates. He and Clinton disagreed over her support for an American-imposed no-fly zone over Syria, where the airspace has become very crowded now that Russian warplanes are operating there.
I believe that a no-fly zone in Syria at this time, actually, Secretary, would be a mistake. You have to enforce no-fly zones. And I believe, especially with the Russian Air Force in the air, it could lead to an escalation.
You know, diplomacy is not about getting to the perfect solution. It's about how you balance the risk.
Some laugh lines, some conflict over the issues, even some agreements on the issues, and no knockdowns. Also, no Donald Trump, so when the ratings come out, expect no records. But Trump has booked a gig to host Saturday Night Live 3 weeks from this Saturday. Here's some catch-up for your Wednesday breakfast. This is some of what might have got past you since yesterday. A Delta Connection commuter jet was rolling toward takeoff at LAX just before noon yesterday when the pilot noticed that a car had just turned onto the runway and was headed toward the plane. The crew slammed on the brakes, burned a lot of rubber, and pulled off the runway. None of the 74 passengers and 4 crew members was hurt. Turns out the car belongs to the airport, and the driver was an LAX employee who may have been confused about where the road ended and the runway begins. But airport officials revoked his permit to drive on the field anyway. After everybody caught their breath, the jet took off for Kansas City. The Mets fan who was badly hurt in a parking lot fight at Dodger Stadium Friday night after the first game of the playoffs is still in serious condition at LA County USC Medical Center, and the LAPD is still looking for whoever assaulted him. Chief Charlie Beck told reporters yesterday that detectives have not yet been able to talk with the guy. He said the investigation is focused on a mother and son as the suspects. The Dodgers will be back on home turf tomorrow for the deciding game of the National League Division Series with the Mets. They had to win Game 4 last night in New York to stay alive, and they did, 3-1. The Weather Service has said the El Niño spinning in the South Pacific is the strongest on record, and they've nicknamed it Bruce Lee. 2 days ago, forecasters compared it to the mega banks that crashed the economy and brought on the Great Recession in 2008. They said this El Niño is too big to fail. LA County supervisors got the message. They called representatives of the sheriffs and fire and other emergency response agencies in for an update on the county's preparations for El Niño's impact later this year. The supervisors also authorized a website where you can get updates, including where to find free sand and sandbags should it come to that. It's lacounty.gov/El Niño. lacounty.gov/El Niño. Now you know what we know. I'm Jeff Kaufman. High Definition News.